There's nobody around but just us two, you know, and showing up at the lander and seeing it doing its job, seeing in some of the shallower dives, seeing eels swimming around it, some of the deeper dives, seeing amphipods swimming around the bait and so on, and then, you know, coming back on board and seeing what this thing brought up. Because in you know, the one most memorable dive from the New Britain Trench from 5 miles down actually brought up these giant amphipods. You know, it's a giant. You know, they're that big as a giant amphipod because they're normally kind of that big. And so this gigantism, I don't think has been properly explained yet, has it, Doug?
No, people think it has to do with scavenging large amounts of detritus when it falls down and different things. But people still wonder about it. And this was the deepest example of this phenomenon.
Right.
In talking about your work, you once said that failure is an option, but fear is not an option.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about what you meant?
Well, what I meant by failure as an option is that if you don't allow yourself to fail, you never do anything with risk. You have to give yourself permission to fail, but fail in a way that's safe. Meaning, you go out and maybe some of your goals aren't met, maybe some of your equipment didn't work, and you're going to repair it. But if you don't give yourself the permission to fail, you'll never do anything beyond what's already been done. You know, we're a very risk-averse culture, especially when it comes to exploration now. It's true of you know, our space program and so on. So I think that there's a certain boldness that has to be embraced. Having said that, you know, safety is you know, very high priority, and so, you know, to me that feeds back into the engineering. To be safe, you have to engineer your systems to be safe.
But fear is not, it's almost like saying you weren't fearful. Were you fearful in going down that deep?
Well, if you think you're going to be afraid, don't do it. You know, we worked on this for 7 years, and I would have been really stupid for 6.99 years if I was going to be afraid on the day. Now, having said that, of course, there's apprehension. That there's always the possibility of the one thing you miss. But, you know, I believed in the engineering team. I believed in the engineering that we did together. I knew every part of my system, of the piloting submersible. I didn't necessarily know every part of Kevin's system. I let him operate this thing.
Oh yeah, but you had a lot of great ideas that fed into it, though. So that's absolutely got that.
We worked together. But in terms of the guts of the sphere and so on, his electronics for how to communicate with it and ping it back to the surface and all that, I wasn't too good for that. But I knew the inside of that sub, Chapple and burst. So, you know, and the other thing is I was just too damn busy during the descent to have time to think about, you know, anything like fear or apprehension. You know, it was like I guess an astronaut would be a good metaphor. You know, you have a checklist and you have to go through all these things in a prescribed order in a certain amount of time. And there's a lot of task loading inside our set.